Okay, guys, so today we are going to talk about advantage and disadvantage question. And in this video, we will deal with how to solve an advantage and disadvantage essay in the writing task 2. When you are talking about the advantage or disadvantages, sometimes your examiner might ask you your examiner might ask you to talk about the advantages or disadvantages of a particular question, or sometimes they might ask you to state the good or bad aspects of what is actually happening, or sometimes the merit and demerit of them. They might also ask you to talk about the positive and negative side of the issue, or they might ask you to talk about the benefits and the drawback. Okay, so they might use different synonyms to still talk about the advantages and disadvantages, but it's still the same. When you see benefits or drawback, sometimes they might ask you to talk about, do you think the positive side of it is more than the negative side of it? Okay, so all of them is talking about advantages and disadvantages. All right, so your examiner might ask the question in two forms. They might say that, let me say, state the advantages and disadvantages of this. All right, so under the question, they might say, state the advantages and disadvantages of this, or they might ask you, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So throughout this lesson, I'll tackle both of them. All right, I'll tackle the first one, which will be the advantages. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages in this particular one? And thereafter, I'll deal with state the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, I think the second one bothers students a lot, so I'll deal with that one first, and thereafter I'll talk about the simplest one, which is the first one. So that's how I'm going to deal with this particular lesson. So let's note, we are talking about advantages and disadvantages essay, and I stated that they might change the synonyms to be good and bad, merit and demerit, positive and negative, or benefit and drawback. They are all the same, talking about advantages and disadvantages. And I said that you might be asked to talk about or to state the advantages and disadvantages, or they might ask you if the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So we are going to look at an example, and thereafter we will use that example to go through the essay. So let's look at an example. There's an example. Buying things on the internet, such as books, air tickets, groceries, is becoming more and more popular. Do the advantages of shopping in this way outweigh the disadvantages? So the question is saying that there are a lot of people buying things on the internet now, a lot. All right, so buying things on the internet is now becoming much popular, so becoming more and more popular. So do you think the advantages of buying things online outweigh the disadvantages? All right, so sometimes they might ask you, do the benefits of shopping in this way outweigh the drawback? All right, or do the positive side outweigh the negative? Okay, is it good or bad? All right, so it can be changed in different ways. They might use different synonyms to still talk about the advantages or disadvantages. So I'm going to look at this one in two different structure, and as I stated, that this one is asking us whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So we are going to deal with the second side, this one. All right, so I'm going to deal with this side, and then after that we will look at the structure of how to write it, and then we write it one after the other. Is that okay? So this is how I'm going to look at it. All right, so let's look at the structure of how to write these essays. All right, so don't forget the question that we are still dealing with. We are talking about buying things on the internet, and then they are asking if the advantages of shopping on the internet outweigh the disadvantages. All right, so that's the question we are going to deal with now. Okay, so how do you go about this question? First of all, look at the structure. We are going to look at the first structure, which is talking about the one outweighing the other. So when you are supposed to choose between the one outweighing the other, that is the structure we are going to use. If you are asked to choose between the one which outweighs the other, how do you go about it? So in the introduction, as usual, you have to paraphrase your question, and then you need to write a thesis statement. Why? Because you have been asked to choose. So any question that asks you to choose, then that means that you need to state a thesis statement for that. You need to show which one you stand for. So you need to come up with that. All right, so that is why it's important that you look at this one. Okay, so we're going to look at when you are asked to choose between one which outweighs the other. Okay, so in the introduction, you paraphrase your question, then you state your opinion. So you state where you stand. All right, so you state where you stand, and then in the third sentence, you state a supporting reason for the argument. All right, so you state supporting reason for each of the argument. So remember, we said we are going to choose whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, so if you have been asked to choose whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, you don't have to stand on one side. You need to still talk about the other side. Why do you think that one part outweigh the other? All right, so you still have to talk about both of them, and then you choose which one is better. So you state your opinion, and then you state the supporting reason for each one. So you can start with the option that you think carries less weight. All right, so you can start with the one which carries less weight. So if you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, you can start with the disadvantages first, and then you come to the advantage, but it is optional. All right, so we will look at it in detail. Then in your main body paragraph, so after the introduction, the second paragraph will be your main body paragraph, where you outline the view that you don't agree with, and then you explain why this view is held by other people, and finally you give a supporting statement, which will be an example. All right, so you go about it that way. Now you pick on the second body paragraph, where you outline the view that you agree with. So remember, the first one, you start with the one that you don't agree with, and then you now come to the one that you agree with. You outline your view, you explain, and then you give a supporting statement, which is the example, and then you come to the conclusion, where you summarize all your key points and still stay on the opinion. Now let's start to write it step by step. Don't forget your question. So don't forget your question. So the question states that buying things on the internet, such as books, air ticket, and groceries, buying things on the internet, such as books, air ticket, and groceries, is becoming more and more popular. Do the advantages of shopping this way outweigh the disadvantages? So that is what we are going to go about. So we're just going to talk about this one using the structure that we learned. Now let's start with our first paragraph. So from the structure, we stated that the first paragraph will be the introduction. All right, so in the introduction, we need to paraphrase our question, then we state our opinion, and then we give our supporting reasons, where we can start with the one that carries less weight, which I said that it is optional. So let's start with our paraphrase sentence first. Paraphrasing the sentence means that you are rewriting it in your own words. Okay, you are rewriting it in your own words. So you just need to look at the question, and then you rewrite it in your own words. That is to paraphrase. So you have to start with the paraphrase question. All right, so if you look at the question states that buying things on the internet such as books, air tickets, and groceries is becoming more and more popular. Do the advantages of shopping this way outweigh the disadvantages? So I'm going to just paraphrase the first part, which is the question itself. All right, so let's look at the paraphrase question. All right, so the question states that buying things on the internet such as books, air tickets, and groceries is becoming more and more popular. So just wrote that e-commerce, e-commerce, right? E-commerce has become more popular in our generation as people make purchases online day in and out. All right, so buying things on the internet. So e-commerce has become more and more popular in our generation as people make purchases online day in and out. So in this one, you are just trying to rewrite what you see there in your own words. Now, our second sentence in the introduction is to state where we stand. All right, we need to state our opinion. So from this question, I'm going to choose that shopping on the internet, or shopping online, is having more advantages than disadvantages. So I just need to state that shopping online has more advantages than disadvantages. So I'll state my thesis statement, and then I just wrote, I believe shopping online has tremendous benefits. Okay, so I just wrote that, and that is all for it. Just shows that the benefits of shopping online is more than that of the disadvantages. Okay, so instead of using disadvantages and advantages, I use the word benefit. All right, so after writing my thesis statement, I now come to the outline statement, where I'm going to state the two arguments on both sides, why some people are saying that it is having a disadvantages, or why I think that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So I'm going to just state the points that I'm going to use. So I told you that you can start with the one that you think have less weight. Okay, so that is how I started it. So with the outline statement, I stated that apart from few cases of theft noted, so that means that if you shop online, you might be taken advantage of. All right, so apart from few cases of, see the word I use, few, so it shows that I'm just trying to not magnify. I'm not magnifying the other side that I'm going to I'm not magnifying the one that I don't believe in. All right, so I use the word few. Apart from few cases of theft noted, buying items through the internet has made people's life easier. All right, so these are the two things I'm going to talk about. First of all, I'm going to show them that, or I'm going to tell the examiner that shopping online makes the life of people easier. Aside all these things that we have been talking about, that there are theft cases. Okay, so these are the disadvantages I saw, and these are the advantages I saw. But I'm going to magnify the advantages over the disadvantage, because that is where I stated that it has tremendous benefit. All right, so remember, we are talking about, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and we are dealing with the side where we said you have been given, when you are to choose between one which outweighs the other. So that's what we are dealing with right now. All right, so if we look at it now, I've given my preface question, I've given my thesis statement, and then outline sentence. I'm going to read all of them. E-commerce has become more popular in our generation as people make purchases online day in and out, and that's how I paraphrased the question itself. I believe shopping online has tremendous benefit. Apart from few cases of theft noted, buying items through the internet has made people's life easier. So you can see that I've still stated what exactly it is, and also let the examiner know that I'm still for the advantages than the disadvantages. Now, after the introduction, your second body paragraph should be the main body paragraph. So we've now moved on to the main body paragraph 1, where we are going to talk about the view that we don't agree with. All right, so from our structure, we stated that the second body paragraph, which will be our main body paragraph 1, will now argue or look at the view that we don't agree with. All right, so as you can see in the outline statement, I started with the one that I don't agree with. So I started with apart from few cases of theft. So since I'm going to deal with theft, that will be the same body paragraph. That will be the same idea I'm going to share in the body paragraph 1. Okay, so I have two ideas here. In the disadvantages, I'm going to talk about theft online, and then the advantage, I'm going to talk about how internet makes people's life easier. So when I'm dealing with the main body paragraph, all that I want to talk about is I'm going to outline the view, I'm going to explain, and I'm going to give supporting details or supporting ideas through an example. All right, so that's what I'm going to do now. All right, so let's look at the first one, which is how I'm going to outline the view, or how I'm going to write my topic sentence. All right, so let's start with the topic sentence. So these are the topic sentence you're going to deal with for our body paragraph 1. So among the drawback of online shopping, digital scams are more common. All right, so as you can see here, talking about scamming, where people try to emulate, like they try to lure you such a way that they will get your money online. So as I said, it's theft cases, so I'm going to just start with that. Among the drawback of online shopping, digital scams are more common. So topic sentences actually opens up the whole paragraph. It tells the reader that this is what the whole paragraph is about, and that's how I started with this particular essay. So what I need to do is I'm going to just explain why digital scams are more common online. All right, so that's what I'm going to explain now. So I just move on to the explanation sentence. All right, with the explanation, I went by saying that careless use of credit cards or personal information can often invite intruders and hackers to harm someone, right? Sometimes these hackers impersonate the victim to take out their money or use their cards for purchases which was not consented. So you can see all these are just an explanation to prove that digital scam is more common online. All right, so that's all I need to do. You just need to explain, give more explanation to what your topic sentence or what the topic is about. Okay, so you give an explanation to it. Now after explaining, you now give out your supporting example or something about it to just buttress it. And I said the example can be through research, it can be a survey, it can be a personal experience, or something you have read about. Okay, so this is how you go about it. So you talk about it, you deal with the topic sentence, you explain, and now you deal with the example. So let's look at an example. So as stated in the example, it can be a personal experience, a review, it can be a scenario, something. All right, anything, you just buttress it. Okay, so this is an example we just gave. In the early morning talk show on UTV, all right, U Television in Ghana, a popular financial analyst stated that 2,500 people are scammed through the internet every year, which makes it very difficult to shop online when you don't know whom you are talking to or transacting business with. All right, so this one is to give more emphasis, all right, to what you have already stated. All right, so let's look at the full paragraph and see how we dealt with the disadvantage. So remember, we have outlined, let's read. E-commerce has become more and more popular in our generation as people make purchases online day in and out. I believe shopping online has tremendous benefits. Apart from few cases of theft noted, buying items through the internet has made people's life easier. Now I went to the topic sentence for my disadvantage. Among the drawbacks of shopping online, digital scams are more popular. So it's still talking about the cases of theft. Careless use of credit cards or personal information can often invite intruders and hackers to harm someone. Sometimes these hackers impersonate the victim to take out their money or use their cards to purchases which was not consented. In the early morning talk show on youth television in Ghana, a popular financial analyst stated that 2,500 people are scammed through the internet every year, which makes it very difficult to shop online when you don't know whom you are talking to or transacting business with. So you can see that this particular paragraph is still emphasizing on the disadvantage of shopping online. Now, after dealing with the one that I don't believe in, I'll now come to the one that I believe in. So as we did in the main body paragraph 1, I'm going to also talk about the view that I believe in and the advantages actually seen in online shopping. So I'll start with the view that I believe in as a topic sentence. So despite the poor experience above, can see I connected the first one to the second one, and that will be in contrast, so I use despite. So despite the poor experience above, remember, don't forget the idea that you're going to deal with. We are talking about how the internet has made people's life easier. So the first one was few theft cases, and this one is about people's life being easier. All right, so that's what I'm going to talk about in the second body paragraph as the one that I believe in. So despite the poor experience above, online shopping enables consumers to get a service or a product from the comfort of their home. So this shows how convenient it is. All right, being in the comfort of your home, and then you are getting everything that you need. You don't have to move a toe, or you don't have to stress yourself to get it. All right, so after giving my topic sentence, as usual, we go on to explain what we meant. All right, we just look at it more by explaining. So I'm going to explain how internet has made people's life easier and able to get everything from their home. So despite the poor experience above, online shopping enables consumers to get a service or a product from the comfort of their home. They no longer need to travel a long distance or wait a long queue to pay their bills or withdraw cash, right? With the widespread use of handheld smart devices and the internet, shopping is just a few fingers tap away. This saves valuable time and enables people to use plastic card, which is more secure. So you can see that I even went forward to still talk about how secure the internet also is, right? Just to at least find a way to just counter this one too as well. All right, you can still go on doing that if you want, but I just brought it in. This saves valuable time and enable people to use plastic cards, so your ATM card and all that. Plastic cards, which is more secure. All right, so after giving the explanation, I now come out with my example. All right, so I now come out with a supporting example. All right, so let's look at an example. In 2021, a review from researchers stated that 70% of people agreed to the fact that the use of their phone to purchase product online has helped them to save more time and money, as they don't have to use their fuel or pay for the bus. So now talking about how researchers went about. They did a poll, and then 70% of the people whom they interviewed agreed that the use of their phone to purchase products online has actually saved them more time and money. Why? Because they don't have to use their fuel. They don't have to be using the fuel, using the car to go about, or pay for the bus. All right, so they don't have to be paying for £2, £3, £5 to just go about getting on the bus. Okay, so this is how you go about with it. All right, so you can see, let's go back to our structure again. First of all, we talked about we are dealing with, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or we are dealing with the one which outweigh the other when you are being asked. And now we deal with paraphrasing the question first. You deal with stating your thesis statement or your opinion, and now you give your outline statement which talks about the two views. You can start with any one of them which you want, whether you want to start with the one which is less weightier, so you can deal with that one first. All right, so after that we came to a main body paragraph 1, where we dealt with the one which we do not believe in, and then we stated the topic sentence, we explained, and then we give an example. And then the second main body paragraph 2, we dealt with the one that we now believe in. We thought about the topic sentence, we explained, and then we gave an example. So that's how you go about it. After that, the final part will be to give your conclusion. All right, so in the conclusion you summarize everything, and then you still come up with your opinion. You make sure that your opinion still stands throughout the whole writing. So let's look at a conclusion. All right, so let's look at the conclusion now. So to conclude, so as I always say, you can start with in conclusion or to conclude. In conclusion or to conclude. So to conclude, as shopping online has become one popular avenue for marketing, the positive part it offers far outweigh a few demerits it has. So you can see still I'm talking about the question and also where my opinion is. So to conclude, as shopping online has become one more popular avenue for marketing, the positive part of it outweigh a few demerits it has. Irrespective of the theft identity sometimes posed online, so we can have enough time and spend less while we do more transactions from the comfort of our home. I have summarized everything here to make sure it neatly ends the essay. All right, okay, so you can see I have the whole question still paraphrased here. I have my thesis statement talking about the positive part outweighing the negative side, and then still talking about the points that I use. So this is how you also write a conclusion. All right, so this is all about the first way you can talk about the advantages, disadvantages, especially when you are asked whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So if you are asked whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, then this is how you go about it. Okay, so see you in our next lesson.